Hello, and thank you for joining us this evening. We are coming live from our studios here in Accra. We are live on your multi-TV, and the show is Majority Caucus, and my name is Ali Dawood. I'll be your host for tonight. I'm sure that you followed the event with keen interest in the course of the week, and you have monitored various media platforms as regards the political discourse that has taken place. Indeed, we were treated to the unpalatable scene of some disgruntled youth who managed to tag themselves with the title Let My Vote Count, ostensibly a branch from the NPP whose designed act is to cause mayhem in the country. I'm sure for those of you who listen to that program, I'm sure that you regretted the words that were turned out on that rally platform. I'm talking about Kwabenya, somewhere in Kwabenya, if I'm right. They held insult, called the president names, the general secretary of the NDC names. The president is a thief, the electoral commissioner is a thief, you know, all sort of unpalatable words. But I just want to put it on record that Ghanaians should not be deceived into thinking that this act have, nothing to do with the case in court. The strategy of the NPP, as in the subsequent days will come to prove here on your multi-TV right here live, that it is a ground orchestration to render this country ungovernable. They are perfectly aware of the rules of court proceedings, that when you send your case to court, all you need to do is to allow for the verdict to come out. This side, if you want to call it side distraction, that the NPP seemingly seem to be involved in, it is not by accident. History would remind us that anytime such acts of insurgency by the UP Dankwabusha tradition is being perpetuated, we need to be careful. Indeed, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Before independence, Busia said that Ghana is not ready for this so-called independence being championed by Nkrumah, and therefore he petitioned the Queen that indeed they will not be part of any struggle to attain independence for Ghana. When subsequently the independence was granted to Ghana, then Gold Coast, and then it became Ghana, when the independence motion was being tabled in Parliament, in fact, before that, at the inaugural ceremony of the then called General Assembly, now called Parliament, they boycotted that. And that is synonymous to what happened with the swearing in of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So it's a tradition continuous. It is not by accident. Everything is carefully planned. And after the boycott of the swearing in, when everything has been done according to law, Nkrumah then, the government or the party of Nkrumah tabled the motion for independence. They boycotted. When that was granted, and then now it came to the time of accepting the Constitution, the 1957 Constitution, they also boycotted. And when it was accepted, they came again with another protest that they need serious safeguard for regional balances and regional power sharing. As to the history to that effect, I'm sure we'll find another day to do that discussion. But I'm taking you down memory lane so you would believe that the NPP is not doing things by mistake. These are carefully orchestrated and well-designed acts of insurgency aimed at building momentum to the extent that this country will be rendered ungovernable. And as patriotic citizens of Ghana, as the saying goes, good men, when they sit unconcerned for destruction and mayhem to occur, are themselves worse than evil. And so on Majority Caucus, we will continue to remind you that we hold upon ourselves a civil duty to do what is right and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And we will not allow any group of people, and we know, we have seen emails, exchanges of emails, we will bring them to you in the subsequent days, that all these things that they are doing, they've tagged it code name Masheda. It's a deliberate act. It's an orchestration, like I said, to chipping away the legitimacy of the throne of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And so this is not by accident. If you hear them organize Let's My Vote Count, which many political pundits have discounted without number, I'm sure you begin to believe that indeed these are people who do not have the interests of Ghana at heart. Enough with my introduction. Tonight, I have been joined in by Mr. James Apedo. He will be discussing, as it were, whether or not the politics of belligerence, as indicated and exemplified by the NPP, is something that we need to contend with, or the government has to, as it were, start biting where it is necessary. And tonight we'll be looking at the Let's My Vote Count organized rally by the NPP and their boycotting of parliamentary operations. Many thanks for your time here.
Thank you, Ali.
I'm sure that you have observed many of the things that have dominated the political platform in the course of the week. The NPP, even though they know there are cases in court, subsequently want to remind Ghanaians and that the court going is not enough, and that we have to make noise, we have to create mayhem so that people will begin to take us serious. Is it an attitude that you think we should live with in this 21st century?
Ali, to tell you the truth, first of all, thank you very much for having me, and good evening to your viewers. You made reference to the fact in your introduction that what the NPP, led by Honorable Nana Akufo-Addo and Jacob Echebi Lamte are doing is nothing new. They are simply carrying on with their tradition and the history of their party. So to that extent, is understandable. But if you situate what they are doing now in our current democratic dispensation, it looks absolutely awkward that in today's Ghana, a political party that claims to be a democratic party, and they always constantly, tell Ghanaians through radio, newspapers, TV, that the NDC is a party that is, excuse me to say, quote unquote, quote, patapa party. Yet their behavior, their attitude, right down their history up to today, points otherwise. So that should tell you that these are a group of people or a bunch of people who do not believe in honesty. They do not believe in the truth. They believe in using the worst forms of propaganda to perpetuate their ideals. And so, for me, as a young person, as a student of political science, as a Ghanaian, as a journalist and all that, I find it absolutely worrying. Ali, if it is the case that in the last election, we have one credible institution or one credible consultant or an analyst to come out to say that, well, as far as they are concerned, the elections were manipulated, or that the president and the Electoral Commission connived in some way to rig this election in his favor. Then you will say that, okay, although other people are saying it was a free, fair, and peaceful and transparent election, at least there's one voice that can support the NPP's position. But surprisingly, everybody from ECOWAS observers, from the African Union observers, from CODIO, which had over 1,000, observers across the country.
Commonwealth observers.
Observers, international dignitaries, everybody, journalists, both international journalists and local journalists, all observed the process. They all said it was a free and fair election. The verdict that was declared was a true verdict of the people of Ghana. And for that matter, they believed that the election was not rigged. Yet the NPP, led by people who are lawyers, people who are highly educated, will stand on political campaign platforms, make statements that make you, think whether these people are truly intellectuals or not. And so that is what makes the case worse. And there's a simple saying that if your case is bad, then you spend a lot more time trying to, let people believe you that the case is worse. It's good. That's exactly what the NPP is doing.
Let's look at some introductions that they have begun making. They claim, CPP is with them, NDP is with them. What other party? Is it PPP?
Yes, PPP.
Yeah, PPP is also with them, and therefore they cannot but continue on this crusade that indeed the election, was fraught with some irregularities.
Yeah. Again, I said that this is a bunch of people who believe in honesty. They believe that the Ghanaian, is an average Ghanaian. We don't think, we don't have brains to think on our own, and so whatever they throw at us is what we accept. That's how they started. That's how they started the campaign. For the 4 years that they've been around the country, everything they have said, every statement they make was all lies. Everything they said was all lies. Because they believe that, let's lie to Ghanaians. They will take it.
It sounds juicy.
It sounds juicy. We win the election, and then we come back and tell them the truth. That's what they wanted to do, and that's what they keep doing. And so, even when they lost the election, and they know truly that they lost the election, in order to please, the ignorant masses of their supporters,
Indeed.
that they have actually done something, they have to continue on the line they are doing. When the elections happen, at least I know for a fact that, or we know for a fact that the CPP has a national executive committee. They have a national chairman and other structures.
Okay.
Now, if a disgruntled youth leader of the CPP, right, or former youth leader of the CPP, James Kobina Bonfe, comes and be on a platform of NPP supporters, that does not mean that the CPP is supporting their position.
So what is the position of the CPP regarding the conduct of the EC 7th and 8th December?
I stand to be corrected, but as far as I'm aware, I have not heard the CPP as a party, including their presidential candidate, Dr. Abu Sakara, saying the things that the MPP is saying, that the election was rigged.
But by the way, the youth organizer, James Kobina Bonfe, or aka Kabila, has always known to be in bed with the NPP. That is not in doubt at all.
Exactly. So that is not CPP on their platform. And I would say that it is important for Niama Konfra, who is the communication director of the CPP, to come out categorically and confirm whether the CPP as a party is supporting the behavior of the NPP in destroying the institutions that we have taken 20 years to build as a country. They should come out to do that. It is very important for them to do that. PPP.
What was the percentage? Is it 0.03?
Yeah, I think I have the figures here. It's
0.
PPP, 0.5.
Oh, 0.59. Okay, so he also claims he was rigged.
Yeah.
Otherwise he would have had a 50.7.
Possibly.
So Paco Sindum and his party wants Ghanaians to believe that despite having a very poor percentage, if not the poorest in the history of this election, he still claims that he was rigged.
Yes.
It sounds ridiculous in my ears.
It
I don't know about you.
Absolutely preposterous, if you ask me. Is that I don't know, but it's funny. It is.
But he has gone ahead to make some proposal for electoral, some reforms and all that.
I think it's okay. It's fair for anybody who is part of a system and realizes that there are problems with the system, or there are some problems with the system that needed to change, could suggest solutions that they think can work best for our country.
Okay.
And so suggesting electoral reforms or possible electoral reforms to the Electoral Commission for them to act on is fair enough. For me, that is okay. But for you to come out, to be fair, I haven't heard Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum himself saying that they don't accept the result, or saying that the Electoral Commission actually rigged for the party, for the NDC. I haven't heard him say that, so I won't begrudge him so much. But I've heard his communication people saying the kinds of things that the NPP is saying. Okay. But we know the history of the PPP.
Oh, yeah.
We know the history of the people behind the PPP. And so it shouldn't surprise the viewers that the PPP will take that position, and that the PPP's communication people will be on the same platform with Samir Wuku and co. In the name of Let My Vote Count, or Alliance, to be doing that. The other one is NDP.
NDP. They couldn't even
they couldn't even take
presidential candidate.
Exactly. Yet they are saying the election was rigged.
Yeah.
Rigged, and for that matter, they are part of an alliance. And you see, what is even more worrying for me, Ali, is that these are a group of young people who have been educated. You say to the highest level, once you go through university education, at least you are knowledgeable a bit, to understand issues. They sit on a platform and they heap the worst forms of insult on a legitimately elected president of our republic who has not committed any offense whatsoever. Labeling him in the worst forms. That, for me, for a young person, is worrying. Because they see these things on radio, on TV, and people who are younger than us watch. And the impression we are creating is that His Excellency President Mahama is the things they are saying. Yeah. I can't use those words. It's worrying. It is worrying that young people will be reducing themselves to this level.
And the leading members of the NPP will sit down there unconcerned.
Exactly.
Actually, would applaud them and even encourage them.
Yeah.
The likes of Nana Kumia himself,
it's worrying.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I think that if the NPP really wants to be considered as a party in this country's political terrain, I wouldn't say they should withdraw the case from court, but you see, we have taken time to build the institutions that we have.
Yeah.
If you take a case to court, allow the justices of the court or the judges
to understand
examine your case. If you believe you have a good case, let them examine your case, let them see the evidence you have provided, let them hear the defense from the opposing counsel, and let the judges decide. When they decide, then that becomes the verdict that you are expecting.
You just finished. There's a point they've been raising.
What is disturbing again is the behavior of the NPP. You see, before the election, they believed... Okay,
let's... viewers, I'll be right back. Stay with me. Hello, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus. We are live on your multi-TV. I have been here with Mr. James Sapedo, who is a member of the government communication team and a member of the NDC. We'll be looking at the conduct of the NPP regarding the court case and the so-called Let My Vote Count, which we'll be tackling very soon. But I also noticed, indeed I have noticed, that the NPP is also on another crusade, giving conditionalities whether or not His Excellency the President would be bound by the rules or the judgment or the verdict from the court. I don't think that is necessary by our constitution. Whether or not you agree to be bound by a court's ruling, you have no option, really. You have no option. And then also another issue that I wanted to put across is that the NPP continuously wants Ghanaians to believe as if there's an alternative to going to court. What you keep hearing is that, oh, Ghanaians should applaud us for taking the path of law, for taking the path of peace, which is not entirely correct. The NPP has not taken the path of peace. We have seen videos, I have aired it on this show, where an NDC, no, not even an NDC car, an innocent citizen's car with John Mohammed's posters on it was vandalized right there in front of Akufo-Addo's residence at Nima police station. Also, a person was recorded and heard and seen speaking through the megaphone, calling on the supporters of the NPP to carry with themselves, you know, as it were, a catapult, and make sure they stone any NDC supporter that they come across. This cannot be termed as a peaceful demonstration or peaceful path. And so the NPP should stop deceiving themselves. I just can't fathom the logic behind this charade. We have taken the path of peace. What else could they have done? Would the NDC, would the NPP engage or engulf the nation in a state of lawlessness, even though there's evidence that they are gradually getting there? The only option you have is to go to court and ventilate your concerns. So we don't need to applaud you for doing what the law in the first place obliges you to do. So that is not a virtue. It's a matter of law. It's a compulsion, actually. You have no option. And then also, this talk of no justice, no peace. I think the NPP need serious lesson when it comes to the theory of justice. Indeed, the justice is a mother name for certain attributes of, as it were, rights. And those things are high on the social ladder of utility. And once you appreciate the fundamental tenets of justice, you will know that justice also exists a condition that is based on freedom. And where there's no freedom, you certainly cannot have the peace or the justice that you have, that you clamor for. And so it cannot be it cannot be a positive agenda for you to continue to go on the path that no justice, no peace. Indeed, if you want justice, you must ensure that there's peace and there's freedom, because these two are based on the ethics of law. Failure of this, it means that civility or civilization ceases to exist. If you fail to acknowledge that people need to thrive in an atmosphere of freedom and peace, then you are beginning to violate the very understanding and the spirit behind justice. So I really don't see, I'm happy that Gabi Otredakun said, I don't know if I got the name right, that this so-called activities of the NPP, they let my vote count and boycotting of parliamentary operations and all that, is not based on logic. On his Facebook, that's what he wrote, and that it's purely political. Indeed, he couldn't be more right, because really, if you want to take them on the path of logic, they will fail. Utterly, they will fail. And so I'm happy that we have at least some explanation as to the reasoning behind these gimmicks. It is political, and for something to be political, it really needs not to make sense according to the NPP. And so they don't care if what they are doing has the interest of the state at heart. Welcome back to the studio. I'm still here with James Apedon. James, let's look at the conduct once again. Apart from the going to courts and all the, you know, the cacophonous noise they've been engaged in making on the streets, really, if you measure the pulse of the ordinary Ghanaian, what do you get? What do you get? Are they resonating with the cause of the NPP?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is what makes the NPP's case even worse. I began by saying that even if we had only one voice in support of the NPP's action or in support of Nana Akufo-Addo's actions, then you would say, okay, they're justified in what they're doing. But there's not even a single soul supporting any of their arguments. the evidence available does not wash. No one is in support of that. To be honest with you, if you speak to the people on the street, they tell you that they don't know what is wrong with the NPP. They're wasting their time. And they're even worried that because they know they don't have confidence in the case they have, sent to court, they now have to be on the streets and judge their own case and declare themselves as winners of the case. In order to court public support. That is why even before filing the case, they were saying they have a mountain of evidence that is going to shock the nation.
Okay.
And then by the time they filed the case, the mountain of evidence became just a piece of paper, with what's the name? An outrageous allegation to say that 1.3 million votes were illegally added.
Okay.
And then on top of that, they hold another press conference where just when the case, the joinder case was going to be held, they held another press conference to say that, well, as far as they're concerned, they have the case, they're going to win. They believe that the justices will declare the case in their favor. They went to lose, and then after that, they're now on the street saying, let my vote count alliance. The Ghanaian who is watching us is not in support of the NPP's behavior.
At all.
And so, if you hear some of these young people on radio saying that it is time for them to start throwing bombs.
Yeah.
It is time for them to start
regrettably,
killing people on the streets.
He was allowed airtime.
Yeah.
That is about time they start throwing bombs.
Exactly.
As it were, blasting people's cars and school buildings.
So they can be taken seriously.
They will get the attention that they need.
And you know that interesting bit? The party chairman, Jacob Lamte, has not reacted to that statement.
At all.
So it means that that is the MPP's current position. In the absence of anything else, that is their position. That they are going to terrorize Ghanaians.
Yes.
If you are in your car driving on the street, they'll bomb you. They'll be blasting schools, and our kids in the schools will be killed. That's what the MPP is taking us to. And that, I believe, must stop. It is time for us as a country to rise up against the MPP and tell them that this is not the path we have chosen. We are in the 21st century. As a country, we have had 5 elections. This is the 6th election we've had. And everywhere you go, it has been the best of the 6 we've had, of all the 6 elections we've had. So please, you went into an election thinking that the only option you had was to win. Without a win, it means there was no election.
Yes.
You lost. Interesting. On 8th December, whilst we were busy, in our cubicles trying to monitor what was going on and preparing ourselves for the strong room operations, MPP, led by Samia Wuku, went to somewhere in
I think
Jowlu or whatever, that the company was intercepting results that are being faxed from. I mean, ridiculous.
Indeed.
You know how a fax machine works?
The Peace Council rushed there.
Yeah. And that is what is captured. Lives. That is what is captured in the case that Nana Akufo-Addo is leading, the party to court.
The empty warehouse.
STL or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
That they had information that STL was intercepting results from the various regions and manipulating the figures before sending to the Electoral Commission. And they send, and you see, they are so disingenuous that they use what? They said that they sent the public, members of the public raised concern.
Members of nobody raised concern. The Peace Council, the chairman of the Peace Council was there himself. But let me take my final break. I'll be right back. Stay with me.
Okay.
Hello, welcome back to the show. This is Majority Caucus live on your multi-TV. Just in case you just joining us, we've been looking at the conduct of the NPP with regards to the petition at the Supreme Court. James, and the event of all this, do you not think that some arrests should be made, especially when very dangerous and potentially explosive comments have been made on such platforms?
Ali, I would say in no uncertain terms that the only way that the public and our viewers and the Ghanaians, the true Ghanaians who elected His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama to continue in office, the only way that those people will feel safe in this country is for the security or the national security to start arresting these people. Oslausu, she is a member of parliament now, for God's sake.
So one might
and I
think
thought that she was
would
going to
improve
be,
and grow
improving. She's been trained at Gimpa on our pockets as taxpayers.
Just a quick one. Earlier today at the cafeteria of Parliament, she was caught insulting, verbally attacking her, honorable colleague Mutala from Nanton. I mean, she was behaving in the manner that in parliamentary language we will say is unparliamentary. Yeah, very, very shameful. But we'll continue.
I don't know, but you see, for me it saddens me because we've always heard that, I mean, politics is dirty, it's not a game that any young person should engage in or should consider as a career. And some of us think that, it's just like any profession. It should be possible for a young person to say, well, I want to grow up and become a politician and be inspired to go on. But the point is that when the people who are ahead of us keep behaving in this manner, insulting themselves in parliament, it makes people to think that, okay, this is not a profession that anybody should, aspire to get into.
Okay,
you get a point. I thought that it's time for Honorable Oslausu to start holding herself,
because she now has the tag.
She now has
honorable.
a title as an honorable. To start holding herself, to be calm. She's a woman. To be calm, deal with people in a very complimentary and respectable manner.
Absolutely.
But if what we've read and heard is true, it is unfortunate.
Absolutely.
It's not right. And so she needs to be arrested because she called the president a thief. It is unacceptable. She needs to be arrested. Also Bempa, I don't know, but he needs to be arrested as well. If we don't do these things, and the NPP keeps behaving the way it is doing, and then we wake up one day and bomb starts blasting everywhere, because Sami Oku at that particular platform said that because in January this year we've had what he claims were about 280 fire outbreaks and about 250 carnage deaths on the roads, that should be blamed on the NDC, because the NDC is using the blood of those people for rituals.
Reckless statement.
That's the party communication director. These people need to be arrested so that some of us who voted for His Excellency the President will have confidence that, okay, the institutions of state are working. If we don't do that, and the NPP keeps saying that they don't want a police state in this country, yet they keep behaving in reckless manner, and they keep getting away with it, we wake up one day and this country will be made ungovernable, as they are promising to do. We don't need that in this country.
I fear for that day.
I don't want that in Ghana, because to be honest with you, I don't have my passport is now even dead. I don't have anywhere to go. They have places to go. We don't have anywhere to go.
No.
So we are appealing as young people, as young supporters of the ruling party, we are appealing to the security agencies that it's time we call these people to order.
Indeed.
They have taken a case to court. Let them allow the justices of the Supreme Court to decide on their case. If the justices say they have won, their votes should be annulled, fair enough. That is the verdict of the court. The laws provide for us to ask for a review.
It reminds me of the Kumasi peace declaration. What happened to that? Just a quick one.
Ali.
Yes.
I was in Cape
I thought
Coast.
that should be the guiding principle of the conduct of the NPP.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I was in Cape Coast when I watched that particular event, and I watched Honorable Nana Akufo-Addo when he was presenting. Immediately after that, I posted on Facebook that really,
he gave conditions.
He gave conditions for the peace, and to tell and true to his word, this is what he's doing.
Yeah.
If I don't win the election,
There's
there
no
will be no peace. Now they are saying if they don't win the case at the Supreme Court, Supreme Court, there will be no peace.
To blackmail the Supreme Court.
That's what they're trying to do. Their behavior is simply a matter of blackmail.
Let's come back to Parliament. The minority today sat in Parliament, even though they decided not to participate in the debates regarding the approval of the nominees who have been vetted by the Parliamentary Appointment Committee. They were there, even though intermittently they feel a bit provoked to raise some objections, but largely they were silent, but they were there. Their presence doesn't mean anything. According to them, it's a respect for the majority's view. Their mere presence, yeah.
It's comical.
Absolutely.
Absolutely comical. They are not honest. One. Number two, when it is evidently clear that their position is wrong, they are not courageous enough to admit that, oh, sorry, we are at fault. We are going back. Or we are taking back whatever we said, They don't do that. The NPP does not do that. So their members of parliament are not interested in doing that, because when they said they were boycotting the parliamentary vetting of ministers, it was condemned by everybody. That they are doing a disservice to their constituents who queued for hours to vote for them, because they accepted and swore the oath of office as members of parliament, and for that matter, they decided to be part of the parliamentary system. Now, for you to come out now and say you're not going to take part in a specific activity, you are insulting the people who went to queue to vote for you. Everybody condemned them. They know that the public sentiment is still not on their side.
Indeed.
So instead of accepting and admitting and going back and say, in the interest of peace, we are going back, they don't want to do that. So they go and sit in parliament to be seen that, okay, they have come to sign that they are in parliament, so that, it's getting to the end of the month. It's pay time.
Salary is due.
Salary is due. Okay. So they want to be paid. But you see, let them keep deceiving themselves. A time is coming when their own constituents will rise up against them.
Absolutely.
And they would then see that actually it wasn't fair for us to be doing the way we're doing.
Theory. I don't know if you side with that, but I need to have your views on that. And the events of this boycotting, as engaged by the NPP minority members of parliament, you monitor or observe one thing that is key is Dominic Nito, who is the deputy minority leader, has been speaking to the issues. I do not know how relevant it is, but I just thought that it's interesting. And that because you have a Northerner as president, and therefore when you have a non-Northerner, I do not want to mention tribes, a non-Northerner speaking vehemently against the throne, then the bias is clear. And so in order to diffuse the tension and dilute the conspiracy theory, he's been put there to be doing what some people have described as dirty job. That you see a Northerner speaking against a colleague Northerner. I don't know, but I'm sure you get. I do not want to go deep because the other part is very sensitive. I don't know if you have heard this or you have anything to say about that.
I've heard it. It sounded a bit curious to me.
But it is real. It is happening. That is exactly what's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you see, I try very much to stay away from issues like that.
Yes.
Because sometimes if you don't take time, you say something, someone will interpret it in a different way. But it is interesting that Honorable Nitiwul is the one who should be
speaking on such matters,
doing the dirty job, as you said. It's interesting because before the minority leader, who is very learned and absolutely confident of whatever he's saying, is the one who speaks on issues.
Yes.
But now it's the other way around. The deputy. Maybe it's an attempt to promote him so that he gets.
But the opposing argument is that Dominic Nite, who has been around Akufo-Addo, and he's been speaking, so he does not need a platform to as it were, initiate himself
Yeah.
in terms of parliamentary business. He's been there, he's been talking, so he doesn't need this opportunity. And the minority leader is still there, alive, very healthy, in fact, more than before, and yet he's not carrying out his responsibility.
There's even another theory that Nitivu, because it belongs to the Akufo-Addo camp, you know, should be seen as speaking in defense of Nana Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
The minority leader, I believe, is seen as more or less His Excellency John Kufuor and Alan Kyerematen's camp.
Oh, okay.
And so even though they don't believe seriously in what is happening, they still should be seen as supporting it, but they can't speak directly to it. So you have always been in that camp, so continue to speak to it. That's probably the reason
Another
why.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
why they are
I think the first one is more believable.
Yeah, you see, yeah, absolutely. I think
Let's look at the inconsistent attitude of the minority. Today we are in parliament, but we'll keep silent. Tomorrow we'll boycott. The other day we'll come to swearing in, but inauguration we are out. What is this?
It's just a demonstration of lack of principle on the part of the NPP. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
But they will disagree with you.
Where's the principle?
Well, they said it's a parliamentary operation. I mean, it's a parliamentary practice. You can always boycott.
Ali, you don't choose what you want to boycott and leave others and say you are coming to sit in. You don't do that. If it is a boycott, it's a boycott. They've taken the Electoral Commission to court for running what they claim is a fake election. They should leave Parliament. Let's keep the money that will be paid to them in allowances and salaries to do other things.
50,000.
Yeah, 50,000.
Cities.
Then another
70,000 cities.
Yeah.
And then salaries 7,200.
And allowances. Let's keep that. That's what they don't want to miss. That is why they keep showing their faces.
We would have another program solely dedicated to the discussion of parliamentary allowances and other privileges. Cool. But viewers, let me thank you very much for making time to join me tonight. I know you are a very busy person. That's James Apedo, a member of Government Communication Team and a member of the NDC. Unfortunately, we have to draw the curtains on today's edition here. But make a date with me when I come your way on Thursday with another exciting edition of Majority Caucus. Till then, stay blessed and be good. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.